You may walk into a room at an event, at a meeting, whatever, and there's people in there who are going to level you up, right? And you may be in just a season in life right now where like everything's freaking hammering you and you're forced to get better. Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Chris Creed. Welcome back to the Wake Up, Get Better podcast. I'm really stoked you're here. Today, as I'm doing this show, I'm trying to think of like how I want to structure it. And the show's had varying different structures as I've played with the format and played with the content and played with the goals of the show. I'm going to take this off. It's making a lot of noise. Played with the goals of the show, and what I think I've settled on is going through and doing an interview with an expert and bringing that to you guys and having a conversation with them, and then in the middle of those doing these solo episodes. The reason I want to do that is because I really like the practice of getting on camera and just starting talking. Like literally, as we were, as I was doing this, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, I have a general idea of what I want to say today, but I want to practice, kind of just making it happen as I'm turning this on. And so I literally just hit record and started talking. And this might be annoying to some of you guys, like you would like me to practice it and be more prepared. And I am working on that. That is a process of getting better for me. In this show, and it's important for me to perfect this skill and to be showing up like this. So I've talked to a lot of people who want to do something like this and are too overwhelmed with fear to just turn on the camera and start making it happen, or they have all this stuff going on in the back of their mind. And they just never end up doing it because of all the logistics and stuff that's happening in their mind and things are spinning around. And I want to encourage you to not worry about that so much. Yes, you need to show up prepared. Yes, you need to get better and be good. But if you go back and just listen to this show right here in this feed, this is the 77th, 78th episode or something, you will see just how much it sucked, right? And and some of you might be saying like, well, it hasn't got much better, but like, I know that it has. I know that I've gotten much better at the skill of communicating. And that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about, because there's a principle, and there's a mentor of mine that I follow. His name's Myron Golden. And he talks about, tying things back to principles, like, because principles are always true and they will always be true. And so if you can tie something back to a principle, then it has to be true. One of the things that I look at is that if I continue to progress forward, if I continue to take action on something, whether it's like jujitsu or even mountain biking or marketing or sales or business or relationships, anything that I intentionally take action on and gain ground on, I will get better at that thing over time. There will be days where I feel worse. There will be days where I feel a little bit better. And there's going to be days where I feel like a lot better, right? That's a principle, because I know that it is always true. And it's the principle of things. I think it's the principle of things that get in motion tend to stay in motion. I think that it ties back to that. But there's also this common truth in our life that we can all experience and agree on, is that when we practice at something, we will get better. So I'm gonna share a bit about the movie Interstellar. There was a chipmunk that just ran by. You guys couldn't see that, but that was really funny. In the movie Interstellar, if you haven't seen this, I think it's been out for like 10 years, so you should have seen it already. I'm sorry if this spoils anything for you. Hopefully it won't. But anyway, in the movie, there's a problem that they're trying to solve that involves gravity, right? And they are going on this mission because everything's going really poorly on Earth, and people are dying, and there's like a famine, and there's this dust that's covering everything, and it's not looking good. So they're trying to find out a solution, right? So they send these people on a mission. They go out there, and they come to this new galaxy, and there's a black hole there. And the black hole is this big, scary thing, collapsed star over in the corner, and they see it, and they call it a little heart of darkness. It looks terrifying. And the ironic thing is that thing over there that is terrifying, that would literally destroy you, that no one's ever seen the inside of it is the secret to what they need to solve the problem. They need that to solve the problem. What ends up happening and what they end up doing is eventually they are able to go inside the black hole. And this is not even close to the premise of the movie, but this is one of the things that happens in the movie. And they go into it with the idea of documenting what's inside. Not of like going in there to solve anything, but to document it so they can send it back to Earth so that we can solve the problems for right now, and so we can solve the problem of the future. And the lesson that I took from that the last time I watched this movie, it's one of my favorites. The lesson that I took from that was that documenting the beginning solves problems for right now. So documenting things in the beginning solves problems for right now. They solve right now problems, and it solves future problems. What do I mean by that? Well, I talked about recently on the show about documenting your journey, and about how this podcast has always been that for me, and still remains to be that for me today. That's why this format is probably different than what you're used to hearing on shows, is because I am interested in documenting the journey as I go. And one of the reasons why I do that, and why I encourage you to do it too, and everybody to do it, is because documenting the process for me right now, having an excuse to do that, showing up here on camera and talking to you, okay, documenting the process right now solves right now problems, and it solves future problems for me. Okay? So if you aren't doing that in your business, in your life, if you aren't documenting the processes and the things you're going through, number one of the reasons why that is a bummer is because in the future, you're probably going to run into similar things that you're doing right now. If you haven't documented what you did, it's going to be more difficult to have to do that thing again. Yeah, your brain might kick in and be like, oh yeah, we did that, back in the day. But why do that? Just go ahead and document it, and then it's documented. And it's like, that's going to ingrain it even further into you, right? So we want to be able to make sure that happens. Documenting your journey right now also solves right now problems. So let me give you an example of what a right now problem is. A right now problem for me was, I've had kind of a big week. It was nuts. I've been reformatting an offer, and I've been talking to people about that and putting it out there. And I've had just like a lot of other things going on, and it's just been a big week. So I sit down and record this show, and I had some ideas for it earlier in the week that I totally forgot about, right? And I sat down to figure out what I wanted to do. And so what did I do? I thought to myself, what would I do if I knew, what would I talk about? What would I make this show about if I knew what I wanted to talk about, if I knew what I wanted to make the show about? And what popped into my mind was document your journey. Document your journey. It was like this resounding bell, just document the journey. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm using the tool of documenting the journey as something to solve a right now problem with me, which is what content should I show up and create today? And so it is like bearing on some sort of principle, and I don't know exactly what it is. And I've mentioned this before, and I should really try to think on these whenever I bump up against something that feels like a universal truth. But this is one of those things for me that feels like a universal truth, that when you document the journey at the beginning, it solves right now problems and it solves future problems. And that's a good thing, because both of those things are going to be issues for you. The problems you're solving now are issues. The problems you're going to solve in the future are issues. We can't think about the future ones yet until we solve the right now ones, right? So I just loved that idea that I had from watching Interstellar recently when I was on a plane. It's a great plane movie, by the way, because it's super long, and it usually covers at least a plane. Like if you're going to Denver or something, it would cover that flight. Like it's a really good length movie. Anyway, I just love that concept, and I think it's a universal truth. And I would encourage you to figure out what that looks like for you right now. I mean, maybe you're going through some stuff that is where everything's changing, and you're kind of in a season where life is kind of forcing you to get better. Like I am. I'm currently in that season too. It's like you will meet those times, right, where things come all at once, and you have to figure out how to get better. It is just like I hate to tie everything back to jiu-jitsu for me, but that's what it's like in jiu-jitsu. And we're going to talk more about this. So just get used to hearing jiu-jitsu. It's a big part of my life, and it's a big tool that I use to get better. And, but in jiu-jitsu, I may be in a room full of people who know less than me, or I may be in a room of people who know the same as me, or I may be in a room where people know so much more than me that it's not even funny. Like it is a joke how much more they know than me. And I still probably don't even comprehend how much they actually know more than me, both in experience and actual knowledge, right? And in those moments when I am in those rooms with those people, even though I know that they're not giving me their all, they can't possibly be giving me their all, I know that I am being forced to get better in those moments. Even if it sucks, I have no choice but to improve. I have no choice. Otherwise, the same exact shit is going to happen to me. I'm going to get the same problems. I'm going to get in the same non-dominant positions, and I'm going to get destroyed, right? The same thing freaking happens in life. You may walk into a room at an event, at a meeting, whatever, and there's people in there who are going to level you up, right? And you may be in just a season in life right now where like everything's freaking hammering you and you're forced to get better. Those times will come, man. And maybe you're in one of those times right now. I know that I certainly am, both in life and in practice of jiu-jitsu. But it's normal, it's normal. And that's why it's important to document where you are. Document the journey. Because, I mean, first of all, we're here for a limited amount of time. Second of all, like, it's going to be helpful for you right now and in the future, So document it, even though it sucks, even when you don't know what to do. It's been helpful for me, and I think it would be really helpful for you too. And I know I've talked about that a lot on this show, but I had that epiphany of like why it's actually helpful and why you would want to do it on a regular basis and how you can use it as a content creation tool for any time you want, for anything. Like I lean on it a lot, right? And it's one of the things that I'm trying to get better at. I want to get better at creating content. I want to get better at intentionally creating, like well thought out, practiced content, right? Where it's like really smooth and clean. And there's times for that. There's a place for that. And there's also a place, and I've created this place for myself in this podcast where I get to show up and I get to create on a whim because I need that pressure sometimes. It helps me get better. It's a tool that helps me improve. And so I'm hoping that it can be the same for you. And so this episode has ended up being more of an encouragement for you to act on creation and act on gaining the momentum in the creation process of and using this time, whether you're in a time of like where you feel like you're being forced to improve, or you're in a time where things are just kind of like okay and busy and it's not really bothering you, whatever, use this idea of documenting your journey where you're at right now as a tool to help you improve now and later. So this has been a shorter episode, but I just really wanted to document that that intersection of real life where I was trying to solve a problem right now and how I use this documenting your journey as a tool to do that. And I know that I can do this at any time I want. It's something I can call on at any time I want. And that's really freaking cool. There's not a lot of those type of things when it comes to content creation, when it comes to business in general, that you can rely on as steady, reliable things that you can do. That is never going to change, right? I don't have to depend on a format. I don't have to depend on a platform. I don't have to depend on any of that. I can always look at what's going on in my life and document the journey and talk about it in some format, right? Always. And that is going to be beneficial, right? It's going to be beneficial to you. There's that chipmunk again. So anyway, I love y'all. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Chris Creed. I'm here to get better. This has been the Wake Up, Get Better podcast. I'll talk to you soon.